President Barrow and Mohammed Jah scandalous conspiracy in defrauding the nation and to using it as a political leverage for the NPP party and for Mohammed Jah to assume the candidate of NPP in the coming 2026 election. Thank you. In the 2026 elections. These are it's very serious. It's not about the succession plan. It's about how they're going around for the succession plan. This is actually what we term as creating an oligarch, a cartel of business people and to run the country. And we know when oligarchs run countries, what happens to them, especially the country delicate as Gambia it is, that came out of a dictatorship. A country that Gambia is, that our economic conditions or lack of economic development strategy, it's crucial to be aware what these people can do to own the entire nation and do what they wish and disregard because of their lack of empathy, lack of consent to the suffering of the people or the worth of the sovereignty of the Gambia. They can sacrifice it for nothing because of who they are. Then, let me give a background. I give a background to this program. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lamin Sise. I'll give a background to this program, then I'll give a background to everything we are going to present today. Background of the program today is, as recent, even as far as 2 years ago, I raised the issue about Mohammed Jah and President Barrow. They are great for taking over Gambian economy. They are great in trying to create a succession plan where Mohammed Jah would assume the presidency after President Barrow leaves office to protect President Barrow, but first to determine to build up a political leverage that would ensure that Mohammed Jah will win an election and to protect President Barrow. Now, from what have happened recently, the last statement that President Barrow did, the inciting violence and attacking the opposition, UDP for that matter, and for declaring himself to run 2026, I said that was a scam. Barrow will only run 2026 if they are not certain of victory with Mohammed Jah, and if Mohammed Jah is not certain to be the leader of the NPP, nobody else would be. Barrow would be there because he has Barrow where he wants Barrow, and he can milk the country as much as possible whilst Barrow is the president. It's either him or nobody else. This is the situation, and I can tell you within the NPP, that's what they're grappling with. But it shouldn't be a kept secret for NPP. It does not, only matter to NPP. Actually, it matters to Gambians. That's why we are bringing this discussion. From the exposure we did, and I first came out about a year ago, pointing and finally, holding up to a property at the Fajara area that Barrow have acquired, God knows how, and turn it around to be his own property, and to get Mohammed Jah to develop it and the details inside. When we said it, technically we were a single voice. We were a single voice until the UDP took it up. Obviously, UDP being the biggest political party, took it up on a platform during their press conference that have amplified this situation. And I hope the press now that have shied away from these facts, which they know. This is not facts that Ben Suwareh only know or people around Ben Suwareh know. No, this is a fact that many Gambians know about. This is a fact that the press in the Gambia should know about. We hope now they'll take it up, especially that press that are paid by the state now, to bring out awareness. They said, let them bring this awareness to the people. And now, about the property, well, let's deal about the property, then I'll bring the background of this political alliance, conspiracy of political alliance, to bring up first. The background of it, that when we did our reporting, and UDP came out and pointed to made the allegations of the property being built for Barrow. But UDP did not name the person behind it. But they pointed to a businessman and they asked questions, obviously, for them to be very careful. of how the government is going to manipulate the statement. Watson Gambia brilliantly went the next day to, in fact, get more information and we pointed to evidence of Mohammed Jah. They too did not mention Mohammed Jah, but they identified a company called QREC in charge of the construction. They did not only identify the company that's building the construction, they presented information that President Barrow do frequently visit the premises. That's tying up President Barrow to the premises. 3, they pointed to the company not using any logo on their vehicles or on the staff uniforms. They pointed to security, soldiers or PIU, you call them, on the ground, securing the area and restricting, making it as a very sensitive location that they don't want access, the public access, or information about the project to be known. And they pointed to, again, the huge structure that is under construction, because even the people around there are thinking that it's a hotel. If they would think that premises is a hotel, and now we know that it's not a hotel, then tell you how big it is. Then there are rumors of the construction or the project costing $2 million over. This is that big. Make it more interesting for us to come on the back of this, to re-engage the public, and for the public interest to hold accountability to what is happening, and for the public to be aware. And when we dive into it, to see the seriousness of this matter, and to know that this matter is not to rest with the opposition alone, but for any moral citizen, especially those influential citizens that knows better, to put pressure onto the government. Until today, I have not seen a press release from the government distancing themselves from these allegations. And we all know why. And even if they come out, we don't expect the facts or truth to come out from government. But we have the facts based on our investigations, and information that we gain from people, the people associated. I'm sorry, Mohammed, I don't know how stars are sent, but I think there's a link there that tells you. Sorry about that. Now, when we did our investigation and came across this company, we looked into the company, and it's a simple proof that the company belonged to Q Group, and Q Group is owned by Mohammed Jah or led by Mohammed Jah. The company QREC, when we looked at it, we went, and the only thing we had was LinkedIn. We cannot find on the website or anything, we got LinkedIn. On the LinkedIn, we got 3 people associated with the company. Let me just look at the name of the 3. Yeah, they are Egyptian and Indian names. They're Egyptian and Indian names. The 3 names were unlisted on the company as employees, which is the Azza Mohammed, project manager, Abdul El Fattah Rahan, architect, and Aman Nayak, office attaché of QREC. These are the 3 names. But we have learned that the CEO, which is not listed, is the son of Mohammed Jah, who just got married recently. Being with that facts, not only thinking of the Q on any company would be associated with the Q Group. And I don't think Mohammed Jah would know of any company using the Q and not be part of a subsidiary of the Q Group and let them to use that name, because of that name now is synonymous to Mohammed Jah. But this is how the information came out, that this is the company. And we know about the background of this company now. This same company, which Mohammed Jah put together, are Indians and Egyptians that he contacted, who worked in Dubai, and brought to build 2 projects for him. One was his multi-million-dollar property along the same route, along the same Fajara area, but Mohammed Jah property is closer to the depot, Bakau depot, than Barrow's. Barrow's property is closer to former President Jawara's property. The company built that project, and that company built the Ajib Bank, which is part of Mohammed Jah's entities, one of their, offices on Kairaba Avenue. How this came about, that Mohammed Jah invited Barrow to visit his property that he built, the multi-million property. The reason he must have invited Barrow for is to induce Barrow, to show him what elegant property that he can design. And Barrow said that, oh, he wants that property, that sort of building. This is how Mohammed just offered that he will build that building for him. Now, the understanding we've got here, until they come out to give us or we find the evidence itself, what's been narrated here is the money is coming from kickbacks. Because that property itself, the land, has been put before and been confirmed by Lawyer Dabo that he had visited Mr. Ayola, who was a Chief Justice at the time, at that residence. It's an existing government property which was passed from colonial days. As a child, we have visited that property, coming to, from when we go to the golf course, walking back in Bakau, or even a little bit grown up when we used to use the back beach side to walk down to Fajara and all that. We have accessed that property, or for many other reasons, we have gone into those properties. We know about these properties. During our childhood days, the person who occupied the property was the Chief Justice, Justice Sir Philip Bridges, the British who was there since colonial days, was the one who continued as serving as the Chief Justice until about 1982 or 3, when there was a political controversy that the PPP government had to relieve him of his service and to get for other foreign judges to act on his behalf, take his position. Now, that property, it's government owned. How did Barrow turn it to be a private residence? We are aware, again, this would point to the evidence we pointed before, that in the Barrow retirement bill, I'll call it the Barrow retirement bill because it's called the ex-president retirement bill. And we know the ex-president retirement bill, there was a law, there was a bill, legislation that provided benefits to one ex-president, which was Jawara. Now, I don't know how that legislation matters on Jawara's family. I don't know of that. But there was a legislation during the Yahya time when Jawara returned for him to have benefits as a retired president. But we know that Dictator Jammeh is not receiving any benefits, as far as we know, based on any legal law. But the reason President Barrow would go and upgrade the bill for an amendment and pass it on urgency, it's because of he is the one benefiting from that bill. And part of that bill said the government to provide a residence for the ex-president, or build a president, provide by building a residence for old person, or pay rent to the ex-president if he occupied his own residence. Now, is Barrow now building a multi-million-dollar property for us? If he manages to go through 2026 with Mohammed Jah as a candidate, or anybody as a candidate, and win the elections, then he'll be entitled to charge us rent again? Or are we building that house? But I've not seen that in the budget. Budget is estimate. There's no line of these things. Or are they going to next budget estimate, or they going to bring in a bill in Parliament to justify, let's build this ex-president? That's yet to be seen. But these are things that needed to be considered. Now, it has been established. Let's go back to QREC. That QREC is part of QCity. And it has been established that President Barrow have interest, or have been visiting this thing regularly, that property. Now it's not in doubt. Now the evidence that what we talked about before have been provided as evidence here. And now it's for Gambians to look at this, how immoral it is. But where's the source of funding? Now, this is something we have to look at. The source of funding. We have seen Mohammed Jah have become the government preferred contractor in the form of procurement. We have seen how he maneuvered. We have presented that before to win the procurement for buses for GTSC. We have seen him maneuvered to win procurement for the OIC. And all this procurement were done very, very, very dodgily, where the invoices were inflated, where his bid have not even met the requirement for the bids, but inflated onto they used a cover of that he's pre-financing these projects. That's why they are going to give him this to avoid the procurement rule, to say that bids have to be open or bids have to be awarded in a manner. Now, to say the pre-finance, the government doesn't have money, it's going to pre-finance this. These are the things they created in order to give it to Mohammed Jah, just as they did with Hadim Guy's project. When they want to give it to Hadim Guy for the kickbacks, Hadim Guy is given to government and given to President Barrow and the NPP, supporting the NPP. They said it was a pre-finance deal, and we know it's not true, because government straight away started to pay receipts of that project. There's no period that have been absent where government have not been paying the invoices or certificates for that project. But it's the same way and manner. We have seen this government manipulate a $50 million loan from donor partners that came to a form of loan to support the agricultural sector, and given to a single person, Ahmadi Jah of Jah Oil, in the context that he is the only one who can afford a $50 million loan, to take up a $50 million loan with a guarantee. And when the government has an option to in fact diversify or restructure the loan to spread it to more than even 50 people, to benefit and to be sustainable for that matter, because it will diversify the production of yields that we want into animal husbandry and the poultry, into agriculture, into fisheries, into rice production, into cereal productions, and so on, horticulture, and so on and so forth. And it will hit on diverse communities and broaden the growth of the country, rather than centralize the growth onto one person who is already a big guy in the mix of things. But again, he's a patron. Jah Oil is a patron of Barrow and the NPP that the contract went in there. Now, the situation is here. Now that all the Barrow is bleeding Gambians, not milking. You milk something that's have productivity of producing. We are not producing. There's no milk in Gambia to be squeezed out of the government. What's left in the Gambia? We are hemorrhaging right now. They are bleeding us. When you said you don't have money, why go and spend for 100 vehicles? That you have not even supplied 100 vehicles, you have supplied 87 vehicles, according to the statement given by Mohammed Jah at Makati Square, officially. But we know that the procurement bit is for 100 vehicles. Where are the rest of the vehicles? And the inflation and everything, you are bleeding us. And every other contract been given out to these people, the patrons of Barrow, are done in order to bleed Gambians, for Barrow to suck up that blood for his own personal wealth, and to suck up that blood to pass on to the NPP party, to build up their infrastructure and their finance their operations, in order to able to capture the state again in 2026. And the benefactor of this would be Mohammed Jah, who would act as the candidate of NPP, and in order for them to win, but not only win, for order them to protect Barrow and all his investment and the people around him. This is exactly what is happening in the Gambia with Mohammed Jah. Now, this is where the money is coming from. Mohammed Jah is building this property, and I can tell you, until they provide the proof that government, let me emphasize, until they provide evidence that the burden of proof is onto them, they provide a contractual evidence of who is building and who is for, if that is contrary to our assertion. Until they provide the financing of that property, that project, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the state, or is it coming from any other entity? And that would be scrutinized then based on the access of information we can get. Until then, this is crucial that it's plausible, and super plausible for that matter, to hold on to that Mohammed Jah is using kickbacks from inflated and illegal contracts given to him, and stealing from those contracts in order to nurture Barrow with the blood of Gambians and nurture the NPP from the blood of Gambians. That's why NPP can afford to retain militants on salaries far better than civil servants, far better than police, far better than the army, far better than nurses, far better than doctors. That's why they can run around and defend, or run around to do anything and take the propagate of tribalism and anything else in order to sustain this government for what they do. Not only that, the other part of the corruption here is we have to look at this pre-financing deals. Mohammed Jah might be head of the bank, or wherever, whatever percentage he said he owes with the bank. But banks are regulated, and they should be regulated by the Central Bank of the Gambia. If the amount of projects the Mohammed Jah claiming to be financing, through pre-financing, they are all coming from Ajib Bank, then Ajib Bank is overexposed. I know that these loans can be said they are secure loans because they are given to government. Government will not default on these loans. What we say in the United Kingdom, too big to fail. Government would not want that to fail. But the premise of the supervision role of the central bank, it's not to create ambiguity. It's to be strict, to be rigid, to be firm, and to be flexible for that matter. But the goal is to protect the financial institutions and to protect the financial industry. But not to do for political things, you try to rationalize. A single person accessing far what people that understand the liquidity of these banks, they say that far more than 30% of the liquidity of this bank. That's another serious area we have to check out. Now, this is now billed as a cartel. Mohammed Jah, Hamidou Jah, now they trying by all means. I've just seen a press release, and I have seen Dr. Sisi shamelessly. They're saying that Jah Oil have got the capacity at present. A capacity based on what? Last week, I have said, go and look at my page. Last week, Ahmadiyya Jah Oil had to go to Senegal. Over 10 tankers have to be filled in Senegal to be brought in the Gambia because they were preparing for this day to use it. This government, that level they go to campaign for their patrons. Without cement coming from Senegal, they are bound to be. There is very highly likely that there is shortage. And if we create this monopoly, the Jah Oil will continue to have a monopoly. And if companies have a monopoly, what do? Customers suffers. You have the quality of the product would be compromised, and the prices would be any increase would be passed on to the consumer because there are no competition. I mean, there were no other choices for consumers to go to, and that's why people are against this thing. And I can tell you, if he has shortage, he will cross to Senegal and refill his tanks and bring it back to Gambia. Then why stop other Gambians from buying cement from other places? Because of the money and the profit he generates, just as Mohammed Jah does. Part goes to Barrow and part goes to the NPP. And this is the model of governance we have. oligarchs, operating to control us, a state capture, in place, and the Gambian people continue to suffer because of the economic policies are not prudent. They are not done for the interest of the people. They are not done to advance our economic success. They are done to serve a few and to use it, to use the gains to suppress us. Now, it's quite clear about this building of this property. It's quite clear that now Ajib Bank is being used for this purpose. And I give you another scenario of Ajib Bank getting exposed. The property of Banjul Breweries, when the same government created a monopoly for a Senegalese patron of Macky Sall, in order for us, that's why if this government come out to claim or proclaim that they are doing this to protect our national interests, they are lying. Because it's the same government that went on overtax a Gambian run industry, a drink beverage industry, that is part of a stimulus toward tourism, that has served over 40 years to the interests of the people, paying tax, creating employment, helping the foreign exchange reserve by trade along Julburu used to to the exported to Bissau and other boundaries. Julburu was revived to the extent of some tourists was part of what enticed some tourists to visit the Gambia. As I said, as the Banjul Bull is serving as a stimulus, what does that mean? It makes it affordable for the hotel and restaurants to sell and make a margin, because of hotels don't make that much from letting out rooms. They make more on food and beverage. That's why it acted as a leverage, a stimulus for the hotel industry. But they killed that off, regardless of the consequences, overtaxing, knowing that that's going to happen. Today, we are importing all this beverage now from Senegal. Now the quality is compromised, the content of the bottles even compromised, and prices are inflated for the benefit of the patrons of Macky Sall. Then that's what they wanted. Then we cannot trust this government when they say they're protecting us. There's evidence they protect themselves, their interests, immediate interests, but even not for the long time, because we'll come after them. It's a matter of time. One day, there's no government person that will stay in power forever. The day will come. Day of reckoning will come. The evidence are here for us to deal with. Now, what Mohammed Jah did there, again, there are allegations here that government are still operating commercial bank accounts, which the Janneh Commission have frowned upon, to say that we should not be doing this. Use the Central Bank of the Gambia. And Ajib Bank is benefiting from this money laundering. Ajib Bank is benefiting from this. And from those proceeds, guess what? The owners of Banjul Breweries, or the shareholders, when they sold the equipments of Banjul Breweries, because they uprooted and sold it to the company, same company in Senegal that they were in competition of, now they have the land left with them. They approach government to give them a certificate, so the change of use, for certificate for change of use, that would facilitate them to able to have a better price for selling the land. The government refused because of what Mohammed Jah was influencing them to refuse, because Mohammed Jah have already approached the shareholders to buy the land of them, knowing that if they acquire the change of use, they would likely to ask more. What happened is these people were forced to sell the land for $1 million to Mohammed Jah, and obviously financed from Ajib Bank again. Then what happened with that? Mohammed Jah the next day turned around and produced a change of use. Now Mohammed Jah can turn that land to anything. Then who was the government protecting there? Whose interest was the government protecting? If they refuse for the shareholders to have a change of use, for the reason they did, they should have refused Mohammed Jah. But no, because of Mohammed Jah, it's a patron, they will have to do that. I think in a nutshell, this have provided this link of financial transaction deals that Mohammed Jah is benefiting from, and then we ask why would the government go against, would President Barrow go against the interests of our people? Now that will point of his selfish interests that he centered on, and for the interests of the supporting his political party. As he stated that NPP will be here forever. Just that may have said. And when he said forever, this is what they mean. They're building the infrastructures. Now they're building these offices, they're building, and I tell you, another evidence of that is CDCC. You know, CDCC was in QTV. Let me bring QTV in a listing of its own. CDCC was in QTV under Mohammed Jah's influence, using the platform as independent, which was not. Because later we suspected that because of the way he was presenting his programs, the way he was agitating, and you know, people who know that, look, there's something out here. This is not an independent platform. President Barrow was spared, the government was spared. That's a fact. But CDCC was already in cahoot with this conspiracy under Mohammed Jah. Mohammed Jah ensured that anybody within his network would be in cahoot. And I'll bring you how that happened. Now, we turn around, after the elections, mayoral elections, CDCC was presented as a candidate. And CDCC admitted that, no, when he was challenged because of the NPP, GT and others were not happy that, how can we bring someone into the party and just make them candidate? And he confessed that, I was a member of the party for a long time, which he have never made known to to the audience. Now, Mohammed Jah wanted him there as a candidate to hold on to the biggest municipality for political leverage again. When that failed, the next day, what happened? CDCC was appointed as something like the secretary, or party public whatever secretary it is. You think that's a coincidence? These are facts that we have seen before us. We talked about that before. But again, and why I said let me concentrate, and part of a QTV is just to use it as a leverage for Mohammed Jah to influence. I'll come to Mohammed Jah planning for a political party after the impasse. I'll come to that. But let me give you point to this evidence. You remember there was a program called Daraji. Daraji was a program that you have different diverse people or a group of people presenting a kind of a discussion, platform or something like that. They were very critical to the government, but they are very objective as well. They were very objective. Guess what? The minute Mohammed Jah came with Barrow, agreement with Barrow, what happened? They dropped Daraji out of this. Remember Sadio, the presenter that was with QTV, very brilliant, and later went to Fatu Network. Sadio Brito. Remember when Sadio Brito was there and did a program with Coach Samba Diao and Dr. Sisi? Guess what? That when they advertised that program was going to be aired, that program get dropped. And there was another instance again, Sadio Brito did something else with someone else, was dropped. For her integrity, Sadio Brito decided to resign and move on to Fatu Network then. That's another evidence there. But we'll come to that political, this thing. But from there on, we have seen QTV towards the elections, and after the elections, the people like Mahdi Jobate and many other people, I can tell you, are blacklisted not to present anything, or anything they present are critically looked at, and if anything very critical is dropped, censorship. And we have seen how much they advance coverage for the NPP in the course of things. This is a proof of what we're saying of Mohammed building this political leverage. But let's move on to the the backgrounds of Mohammed Jah into politics first. What actually happened is people that followed closely, like myself, who do follow closely, and I've covered this many times. After the impasse and Barrow came to power, and during the course of the impasse, there were so many people trying to capture the state from the political and the economic angles. A lot of people, business people from URR who all were supporting Jammeh, in fact. They all came out to say, yeah, we support Jammeh, we don't against government. The Babacar Jawaras and others, most of them were hustlers for that, the Ahmad Jah and others. They all supported Jammeh against Barrow 2026. They had the money, they had the influence. They did not come out until it was determined that Barrow is president. Some of them chipped in or started to hedge their bets 2 days before the elections, when it became very apparent that it's possible that the coalition can win. This is when we get into the combos. And obviously you understand the political dynamics and you see the crowd in the combos, which have never been seen before. And when it gets down to Bakau and others, it have never. Some of them started to chip in and started to diversify their interests. That's the only time some of them have. They started to regroup during the impasse in different kind of cabals. I mean, you have this Fula community, you have this business community, this thing, or whatever it is, you have the Sarahule, you have this Mandinkas, you have these things in tribes or interests, depend on their interests. But you have the state capturers from the from the APRC, technocrats and politicians. It was two forms, technocrats and politicians. And obviously, in an instance, they would have to collaborate. This is from Dakar. And you have even the international businesses that fell out with Jammeh, or the cowboys, I call them, fell out with Jammeh, jump in and try to look for leverage, look for connection to these people that were pulling out leverage from Barrow, association from Barrow. That's how Musa Drames and others started to be relevant, and others around him. Alkali Conte started to be relevant all over around him. And then within the UDP, seen as the backers or of political backers of Barrow or of his home party started to be relevant, and you see most of these people angling towards joining the UDP or rushing up with the UDP. This is what was happening. And Mohammed Jah at the beginning came left out because of his arrogance. Because you have to remember the background again. Mohammed Jah was integral, in fact, in the his progress was integral with the Jammeh system in place. We have seen not once, not twice, where he have forwarded gifts to Jammeh, which we have witnessed. This were the ones televised to show his loyalty, cars, computers, or whatever. We have seen that. But one we have to realize too, the then Vice President Ansotin Jai Sedi and a lot of other family members were part of the Jammeh enabling structures. Njoguba, Mohammed Ka, the running of the University of the Gambia. There's another car at the Ministry of Defense. There are so many permanent secretaries. There were so many, the Kants, the Ba, Yogubas, and all these other people connected to the Vice President. He had political leverage then, and so on and so forth. The minute they came into power, the Jammeh Barrow came to power, they kind of felt left out at the earlier months. And the evidence of this was when we have seen Mohammed Jah portray his arrogance at the Gambia Chamber of Commerce when he was backing his colleague or friend, Idi Job or these things, during their things, and running. And they coined this word of Gambianization. We have to be very careful, not fall for these people's sentiments they throw at us. The tribal sentiments, the nationalist sentiments and everything does not mean nothing to them. When they use the tribal sentiments, is to create a kind of a shell for them to use as a leverage to get what they want. They don't care about even the tribe they come from, because all of these people come from multiple tribes. As any Gambian is, we come from multiple tribes. It's a bogus thing they use to politicize use as a political leverage in order to manipulate us. When they use these nationalistic sentiments, or none of these companies can put it that they are not benefiting from collaborating between international businesses or companies in foreign countries. They could not have been what they are without having that collaboration. Business is like that. I understand the concept of protecting certain aspect of our economy and stuff like that. But it's not coming from these selfish people that are just using it as a leverage in order to get their share. This Mohammed Jah went on this Gambianization. They started to ride with Idi Job and others because they could not get in. They become, I can tell you, during the local government elections, after the 2020-26, it's 2017-18. I know of parties, different parties they have sponsored, opposition parties then. Then they started to look for leverage. Now they started to look for influential people. They try to connect influential people because now they looked at it, they thought that Barrow have locked them out. They thought that the Barrow government now is hijacked by the UDP, and it's hijacked by the Sarahulis, it's hijacked by the certain strain of Fullers, and they have been let out. That being the APRC, that being Mohammed Jah, and their some of their technocrats and their business community. They started to look for leverage, and when Barrow started to warm up to looking for an alternative base, if UDP did not support me onto continuity, I have to look for these things. And already, as I said again, remember I said APRC politicians were already in there and they were collaborating with wider spectrum of the people they worked with before, be the economic and the technocrats. This sort of alliance started to brew behind the scenes. They started to see Barrow, meet Barrow in these things, and started to say, look, we are here to support you. You know, UDP have, lock everybody out, and if you allow them to lock everybody out, they will hijack you, and they will make sure you only serve one time. This, that. Bring us in. So if you bring us in, and another thing was, they will not allow you to have what you entitled to. They said what entitled to, the wealth that you entitled to. That's when they got in, was the force, as we advised UDP, don't, they never listen. What happened? The crack came, bam. UDP got deceived by Dabo being promoted to vice president, not knowing, and we said that they locked Dabo out. Now the strategic positions pass on to the enabling foundation. Now, it has been very apparent now with Barrow that over 50% chance UDP are not going to back me. Now, let me start to work with these people. That's how it became now, finance became to Mambo Njai. The wealth creation for him and the party, they have to create that office. Now, the local government, Musa Grame. Remember what I said to you. Now, Musa Drame to start, we know what local government does, not only about land, local government and lands, not only about the land, which is very strategic, which they took so much of. Now, that's why I'm talking about today. But again, land will give you access to money and access to influential politicians. We know of, which, and we're not going to talk about now. There are small fish in the mix of things. The press house is giving land behind the stadium. We know a lot more. We're not going to give out now. Land will give you access to influential people, land will give you access to money, and so on and so forth. But the most important thing about that ministry is, as local governments, is access to local governance, the Sefolu, Alkalolu, and commissioner or governors and opinion leaders and so on and so forth. They place their passion in there. Now, secure interior, obviously they did the same thing and so forth and so forth. This is how they started the takeover. Still now, Mohammed Jah did not have that. This was the politicians and the technocrats started to come in. Now the business is still kind of okayed by some of them. That's Ababakar Jawara and others, because Barrow was more comfortable with the people from URR because of the background from URR and so on. Now he was kind of a bit intimidated by the people from the Combo area and so on. But someone like Mustafa Njai, voucher of the assistance given to Barrow during the impasse, Mr. Fanjai was seen to be very close to Barrow. And now, when these people put it to try to take on Barrow, what they did is they planned a political party. Mohammed Jah planned a political party. Many people were consulted. And if I say consulted, some of them not directly, but what they tried to do was, in a form of consultation, was trying to make them kind of familiar with themselves, build relationships. I can tell you many people, I don't want to call some of them now because they are all now part of it. They will come around to say, it's not true, it's not true. And no, but we know for a fact. We know for a fact. When the situation arises that Mohammed just started to do consultations and to prepare to form a political party. And the process, that was 2019. Around November, December, to 2019 to 2020, the pandemic hit. But still Mohammed Jah was, it started from mid-2019, starting to build this political party, using his contacts and so on, bringing people around, moving around, try to build a diverse, broad base at that time. Then it went on towards November 2019. He was still really into building a political party. And he had disagreement with some other people that he contacted, and those people said, no, we want to lead as well. I'm not going to name those people because they intervene. There's a kind of a family relationship between them, Mohammed Jah and those, and I don't want to bring it up again. But for the interest of our nation, I'm just going to say that there were people that he fell out with because of these political ambitions. But to show the ruthlessness of Mohammed Jah, during the pandemic, remember Mohammed Jah was stranded in the US because of no flight. Now Mohammed Jah chartered a flight and obviously take some other passengers in this chartered flight. Mohammed Jah had an opportunity here. The opportunity he had was Barrow's son, one of Barrow's sons from Seattle, wanted to come to the Gambia. And Mohammed Jah arranged for that child, with Barrow, for that child to come with him on that flight. That was the opening to Barrow. Came from that flight and they were quarantined together and so on. Mohammed Jah warmed up to the kid and warmed up to Barrow. Then it was proposed that Barrow's son to go for internship to Mohammed Jah, under Mohammed Jah guidance, to be an internship. That's how the relationship Mohammed Jah and Barrow started. Then Mohammed Jah's group, among Mohammed Jah group, they went and fed Barrow that Mustafa Njai Taf was planning a political party. That's what they fed Barrow. To form a political party. And they lied about this because we find out that it was a lie. They said that the reason Taf was involved in Jok Tahawal Banjun or whatever, it is because of he wants to build a political leverage and a foundation for a political party. And Barrow bin Barrow, information we received, which are verified, that invited Mustafa Njai and confronted Mustafa Njai. And information we received said, that info said that Mustafa Njai denied it. And in fact said to Barrow, those people, and Barrow said to Mustafa Njai, these are the people that told me. Mohammed Jah, Idi Job and Mohammed Jah and others. They told me this is what you did. Because for them, the space they have was the only other person within from the greater Banjul area is Mustafa Njai now there. Let's get Mustafa Njai out, we come in. This brought love, problems between these two people, technically, or Mustafa Njai and the Mohammed Jah's group. And said that actually they are the one who plan to have a political party. Barrow threatened Mohammed Jah to set him, oh, I've been told that you are the one, and I've done an investigation as a fact. Barrow sent the SIS, saw DG, and it's a fact that you are the one planning. But if you form a political party, I will bankrupt you. I'll bankrupt all your business. They made up. They made up because of, again, there's Sheikh Tijan Jigo, who is close to Mohammed Jah and who is a body financial manager, or whatever you call it, to Barrow. And those people played a role and fixing the problem. And now, for Mohammed Jah to drop his ambitions and to support Barrow. And this is where they started to cultivate this conspiracy for Barrow, to be empowered in gaining ground politically to win elections, gaining wealth, and in order for, again, that will build a political leverage for Mohammed Jah and Mohammed Jah to take over from him. And obviously, if Mohammed Jah assists Barrow in looting the nation, Barrow will be assured that this person will protect me. I'm going to come with evidence here. When this thing happened, Barrow's son spent the internship with Mohammed Jah. I don't know how long it lasts or whether he's still with Mohammed Jah or not. But obviously trying to groom him to be a business magnate. You see, this is what Barrow is doing now. And not only that, Amadou Sane, Barrow's nephew, Njaga Sane, Barrow's nephew, now are accessing guarantees from the central bank, banks, under the central bank, mega bank and others, which they are not entitled to, and that is making them multimillionaires in our country. You see, this is what is all about, and Gambian youths are suffering, Gambian people are suffering, Gambian institutions are suffering. But these people are conspiring to bleed the Gambia for their own gains, now to protect themselves. Because of Barrow, Barrow have come to the realization that he doesn't want to, this was the question, that he doesn't want to leave the Gambia when he come off this thing, and he need to protect it. And at the beginning, the other option was look for other option in case something happened. And out of plan, so that you can have Senegal for that. Now Senegal is out of it because of now they perceive the Senegalese government as hostile to Barrow because of the relationship Barrow had with Macky Sall. I can tell you right now, we are investigating very plausible. That's why I'm saying, I'm just going to point to the very plausible evidence provided to us. We are looking at all that evidence that Barrow is already looking at. Same bolted out post in Morocco. He's looking at a second option to Morocco in case something happened within the Gambia, that he will have a safe home. Senegal now is out of the equation, and we are looking at this. This implicates Ahmad Ba playing a role as the one doing negotiations and other things with Moroccan authorities and some businesses in Morocco. We are going to look at that, very similar to what Macky Sall did. We had the information, we're looking at that. Now, when when Mohammed Jah had this relationship with Barrow and everything else, and then Mohammed Jah have gone to the extent of building an executive committee for his proposed party. They had held meetings to the extent of one of their most strategic meeting was to take a member of 20 of the executive to fly to Dubai. Guess what? When Mohammed Jah got Barrow where he wants him, Mohammed Jah dropped all the projects because of Barrow have threatened him. Now form an alliance with Barrow. And this is why from then on you see QTV, make sure anything against Barrow in QTV or any kind of person is been dropped, as I presented earlier in the other video. If you're watching this video alone, know that there's a first video and this is the second video. It's a continuity. This is how Mohammed Jah positioned himself. Now started to get to procurements and building Barrow wealth and building Barrow's wealth. Koto my life. I'll call it back. Okay. Building Barrow's wealth and building the NPP. And if Gambians can remember, when they had this trip to Dubai planned, about 2 years ago, when they planned their trip to Dubai, I was the one that came out and stopped that trip because there were so many things in that trip. And this was in 2020 itself. I think 2020 itself, if I remember. It was still kind of, the pandemic was kind of down a bit, there's a cough, but I think it was just, they had to hire a private jet. And in that trip, I started to agitate the minute I've got all the information. Certain information I knew, even Barrow did not know then. Because of when I revealed some of this information, that is what stopped Barrow. People don't know, that's what stopped Barrow from going. Then later, the SIS had to launch an investigation in it. The trip was built by many interest groups. When Barrow made the trip known, other interest groups jumped in because they were trying to go to Dubai. They needed to go to Dubai. Remember the trip that Barrow Force did alone, without government knowledge, and later, just call it a private visit. He went to Congo. And we told you that he went to Congo knowingly that he was involved in trafficking of money laundering and mineral, it's all called laundering. He knew that it was. This Dubai trip too is kind of a similar. But main part of the Dubai trip was Mohammed Jah and Diop to take over Gum Petroleum. If you go and look at my investigations and my reportage on Gum Petroleum and how they collapsed it and how now Barrow took it over, I'm going to go through it to remind you of this. When they went talk about the trip, Diop and Mohammed Jah have already gone advanced. And they falsified, they lied. It was a private trip, but they said that one of the prince of Dubai invited them. It was a lie. It was a private trip because they were going to access. They were trying to build a cartel of oil, exported oil from Dubai. This is what they've taken Barrow for. And they were going to convince Barrow and show him the lucrativeness of the market and the percentage he was going to get and everything else. They were going with cartels there to do this oil deal. This was the interest of Mohammed Jah and Diop, that group. That was their interest. Going forward to Dubai. They went before because the private jet was not that big. But there were people of questionable background who have convinced Barrow to fly with Barrow on his private jet. And they made Barrow to believe that what they had was gold and probably diamond. They want to take it, and it was a lie. At that time, I don't think I even said it on air. I just said that they are of question about what they had was cocaine. They wanted to use Barrow private flight for cocaine. Barrow did not know that until we used our networks. And when we were reporting it, they picked up from there, and the SIS alerted Barrow that, look, this questionable background they're talking about people going with you, we believe that they are involved in drug trafficking. They are using, they want to, that's why they're insisting to come to your flight. That's how reckless Barrow is when it comes to money. We told you about these things, it's continuing. Now, because of the coverage given to it, they said that they have, they put a press release because we started to agitate before they announced that it's going to happen. Now they know that then we know more than we are letting. And the minute they announced it, we said, this is confirmed now, and we are telling you that even there's more to it, that even Barrow would not know. And that's how they launched an investigation and canceled the trip, and they said the trip was postponed. Still now the trip did not happen because of we torpedoed it. Now, remember that was 2020. Few weeks after, Barrow visited Gam Petroleum. And Barrow used one word, Gambianization. And remember, if you look at my first video, I talked about the buzzword of Gambianization that Mohammed Jah and Idijo coined. Oh, we want to Gambianization the petroleum industry, and pam. That was the plan to take over Gam Petroleum. Gam Petroleum was already Gambianized because of the shareholders of Gam Petroleum were technically all government parastatals, social security ports and others. It was already Gambianized. The only shares that's owned by a foreigner, that two share was meant to be bought by social security, but Barrow for his corruption gave it to those Senegalese Mauritanians. I forget the name of the company again, but their representative on the ground is something Barrow. That Barrow guy is not Gambian, it's a Senegalese Mauritanian kind of background. The company is, I don't think it's Star Oil, but one of those names. This is, it was already Gambianized, but the visit Barrow did to Gam Petroleum was again to familiarize himself because if they are going to point Gam Petroleum. Because of the lucrative of Gam Petroleum, the liquid of Gam Petroleum. Go and look at the dates again. Go and look at the archives again. As I said, anything I put here, I put it based on my integrity. I put it out there based on my experience, my competency on looking into investigating these matters. I blow the whistle even before they happen, and they happen. There's no issue, campaign I've raised here, and I've not been vindicated by this government or the last government. Now, the minute they went to Gam Petroleum, guess what happened? They put in their strategy. This is what brought the problem, Gam Petroleum problem. When Shehu Drame was the MD and Bahuha started. The minute it started, we point to Gambians that this is what we're telling you. Now they're trying to restructure the company to benefit them. And when the campaign started, they started their campaign, we went through it. I said that there's massive corruption within Gam Petroleum. But that's not what President Barrow was looking for. Because if he looks for that corruption, President Barrow will be culprit. And the wife will be culprit, because one way or the other, that Star Oil, in fact, there's a shares in Star Oil. Sorry, let me not use Star Oil because I didn't have time to look at the records. But that company, that Mauritanian Senegalese company, shares, part of their shares is for the First Lady and for Barrow. Then if they don't, we welcome the move. Let's say, get forensic auditors to audit properly. But no, they went for an kind of an internal audit, the police and everything was mocked up. And we talked about not only the stock and other things, but we talk about tax and other liabilities. Because we know what we're talking about. Because Yankuba Dabo of GRA would have been implicated. He's a body. He's part of the Mohammed Jah. You see these people, how they play us within tribe. Now, they brought Yankuba Dabo as a Mandinka That's what they did. And can I tell you, that's what they, before Yankuba Dabo, I know of another a very influential Mandinka candidate, Mohammed Jah, tried to get on board to bring that so-called broad-based diversity. The diversity is in nothing but being joint enterprise of crooks, criminals. This is how they went on to start to stop supplies coming in. Look, I said what they're trying to put through the courts is not going to go through. They cannot prove that as a corruption or anything. Because what they're trying to do was, what they did was stop supplies coming in. When supply, they stop, again, you see what they do? They stop the supplies coming in, and then to expose the trading abnormality in this in the system of borrowing stock, and for them thinking that if they expose the abnormality would be enough to find suspicious transactions or find something onto Sehu and other people around Sehu. But what they realized was that was not enough to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there was corruption. And this was my point. That would not be enough. But in order to get enough evidence, they would be held accountable. When they went to the court and presented this, before the defense took their stand, I said, if I was the defense, I would go for no case of submission. Because nothing has been proven here. I'm not going to put my witnesses on the dock. Risk putting my witnesses on the dock. And guess what happened? The defense went on to put in a no case submission. Because there was no evidence. They have not put anything beyond the court. It's proven that the modalities used by Petroleum is borrowing. Borrowing, giving stock to others, and how to call it? How to call it? Just a minute. What they do was people, like this approve retailers or marketers, oil marketers who come and take stock and return stock, stuff like that. They found there was nothing wrong with it. But in fact, what ended up with that case is, corruption on behalf of Barrow and his orders. In fact, the case could not proceed because they lost the case from no case submission. The defense is not even bothered to defend it because they didn't done that. But if you look at detail of the case, what have happened, in fact, Barrow's people would be held accountable because they have not proven anything. What's the case now? Then because of they've educated Barrow so much on this, the fuel deal, now they could not bring their deal onto Barrow from whatever source they were looking at in Dubai for their planned trip that we put at halt. Barrow took over Gum Petroleum for himself. Right now, what Barrow did was he brought his friend, Yero Jallo, who have not got the competency, I can tell you, to run the Gum Petroleum facility. He brought him for GNPC, where he put him at, it was Barrow who appointed him at GNPC. From GNPC to come and run Gum Petroleum. Right now, the operational director or manager is no other than Barrow brother-in-law. The Inspector General's Ture, brother, is the operational director, is Barrow brother-in-law. There are about 7 to 8 siblings of Barrow now, since Barrow took over Gum Petroleum, working within Gum Petroleum. And remember, Gum Petroleum is technically owned by government, but is directly owned by shareholders, which are parastatals. But Barrow have taken control and even controls the board and the management of that facility. And what did they do with that? What did Barrow do? Went on and in fact stole the model of deal that Mohammed Jah and Idijo wanted to bring into Gum Petroleum by doing what? This, accidentally coming across, because he's not sophisticated. Barrow is not sophisticated. He accidentally get into things. A Ghanaian guy knew about a deal going on, Russian mafia. Bunkering oil in different countries in order to bypass the Samsung Boston. And he negotiated with his colleague, another Ghanaian colleague who was with the Russians. That's why I said to Gambia, be very careful. Russians are in town. And now they are getting into our politics. Russians are in town. And they are getting into our politics. Now, this Russian, I've got their name, we reported this on Open Gambia. The Apogee company and the people are listening. They are based in Dubai and Turkey. They are based in Dubai and Turkey. Their checks, I can tell you, the same thing is happening now. When we covered it, guess what? Barrow government went through the energy minister, then Nobin Job, Abdu Job. They restructured the policies in order to cater for the illegal practice they were doing. Apogee did not run even accounts in the Gambia because of the Samsung busting. What they did was, in fact, use subsidized accounts owned by other companies in order, and most of the payments are made in Dubai directly and Turkey. The money is not coming into the Gambia. Deprived in the Gambia of that wealth. Barrow doesn't care. Because of there is someone called Ibrahim Jabi who works with the First Lady. You see, some of these business contracts goes through the First Lady, not Barrow himself. Then First Lady have other people to handle it, and this is this Ibrahim Jabi. Now, this is how they run Gum Petroleum. And Mohammed Jah pops out by Barrow. When Barrow understands everything and managed to have people to run it for him, now Barrow is running Gum Petroleum with the petroleum cartel from Russia. Bunkering petrol in the Gambia. Now, dirty petrol for that matter. There was a time that aviation fuel cannot be obtained from the Gambia because it was dirty. They had to fly to Senegal or Morocco before refueling. That's how bad the situation became. Now, this relationship continued. Now, in order for the APRC to have access, they had to convince Barrow through the SISDG, who was running this thing, to get the political actors so that they can capture the APRC followers. That's how Sidinjai and others came into the corridors of power, based on advice from the SISD, who was running the political strategies for Barrow, and other dubious strategies for Barrow, election stealing on everything for Barrow. This is how they came in. Now, then that's where the restructure started, bringing Mamburinjai, bringing and other people into government. And that's how they survive when they finally push UDP away. Now, for Mohammed Jah to have control, again, remember, you have to have people within the structures. Sidi Touré, whatever left his contract, whether finished, or some people say that something happened within where he was at the in Saudi Arabia with the bank he was working. He have to come back to the Gambia. Allege. I don't want to go into it. But Sidi knew Mohammed Jah. They are good, close friends. In fact, when he was at the Arab Development Bank, or sort of in Saudi Arabia, part of what he assisted Mohammed Jah was with Ajib Bank, the coming of Ajib Bank. This is the allegation session. But what Mohammed Jah did was get Sidi Keita to the Minister of Trade. Strategy for what he wants, trade. Sidi Keita went to trade. They removed the person that Barrow had put there before and sent that person to ambassador to Bissau or something like that. Sidi Keita came in. Now, Pura, another institution that Mohammed Jah wants. Pura, they created a guy called Yusufa Job. Yusufa Job is a childhood friend of Mohammed Jah. They are buddies and everything. Yusufa Job was adversely mentioned and actually sanctioned at the AU Parliament in South Africa for malpractice. He was not fit to occupy the poorer position, but Mohammed Jah got him the poorer position. Mohammed Jah got his cousin, Mohammed Kah, the Gambian representative in Switzerland, or sort of. He's got Mohammed Kah's wife, policy advisor at State House, and others positions. He started to put his people in position. Right now, he have added, and it went on. And people that have followed, I said that after the elections, Mohammed Jah was going to make sure Sidi Keita becomes the finance minister, and that happened. And that happened because of now they want to capture the finance minister, because come a time Mambure was playing double with them and they could not have control. Is running control. Now, in putting these people in place, Mohammed Jah had the leverage now to do things and facilitate things as he wants. Now you see, now all contracts, now lucrative contracts, go straight to Mohammed Jah. If Mohammed Jah wants it, Mohammed Jah has it. Now, I'll come to the political side. Now, I can tell you, there's this case of Gamtel. They want to sell Gamtel to Mohammed Jah because of, again, for the kickbacks going to Barrow and kickbacks going to Barrow to build his house and do other things. Because over $2 million, they said, dollars and other things. And for the financing of NPP, buying vehicles, building offices, that's why they say, oh, we can do this. Where are they getting the money from? Buying offices, building these things, and obviously paying salary to their militants, chairpersons and others. Some people are paid over 10,000 monthly without tax, cash. How much do our nurses have? How much do our police have? How much other people have? That's why if we see the police, being used against their own people, it's just sad of the ignorance for them to do these things, not seeing what is happening in the country. Now, when they place this, there's a precaution now to take over Gamtel. If there's no pressure, Mohammed Jah will take over Gamtel. And obviously, he's going to be sell cheap, and the kickback will go to people that need to have the kickback. There's a procurement for tractors. And I can tell you, likely the procurement of tractors will go to Mohammed Jah. Remember, Mohammed Jah now is into agriculture as well. Let's look at how that's going to be ending up with South Koreans. What government involvement would be, what government support is going to get. We want government support to any Gambian involved in development in any form, especially in agriculture. But not unfairly, where we have other Gambians within the same industry doing very well, proven track records. Maru farms, and many others. But they are not being subsidized, supported the way they should be in order for us to achieve our independence in food production. Now, all these things are going on. What happened again with Pura, to show you how powerful Mohammed Jah is? The former managing director for Official, when he resigned, he went partnership with Alpha Bay, a financier, for them to have an alternative network supported by satellite. Yusufa Jopo was put there by Mohammed Jah, happened to be friend of the former managing director of Official, Badarambai. They were in the UK here, together studying. And they might have even known each other before. But they were here in UK studying. They know each other. And when Badarambai and Alpha wanted an operational license for the network, and Yusufa Job did the right thing and issue the license. Did the right thing and issued the license. Mohammed Jah went furious because he doesn't want any other Gambian That's what he does. I can tell you many other Gambians have been forced out of businesses and stuff because of Mohammed Jah. Wants it, Mohammed Jah will have it. The arrogance of Mohammed Jah went to Yusuf Diop's house. He's a close friend. Some people are saying even Yusuf Diop have named a child after Mohammed Jah and insult his mother. That's how arrogant he is. Insult his mother. This is what he did. And guess what? Took him out of there and brought his cousin Joguba to occupy Pura. That's why Pura would never sanction Qcell or Mohammed Jah's businesses. That's a regulator, and it's not an independent regulator. It's controlled by Mohammed Jah. Just show it to you again. But politically, it was a competition. It became a competition within NPP. That's why, as I said in North Bank, President Barrow pointed to UDP and attacked because of our expose about what is happening in NPP. He wants to cover now, to say that he's going to run. Now, deflect it and let it be about UDP. That's what he tried. I refuse. It became a three-horse race. The UDP within NPP went on to try to get Bouassedi, the central bank governor, to become their candidate. They started to build political leverage. Bouassedi and the former Inspector General of Police, who is now the Interior Minister, and others started to build something like a UDP within NPP guys, mainly Alkali contest and other, trying to get Bouassedi. But right now they're having problems now, either Bois or try to get someone else. Because Bois is now kind of putting cold feet in it. His confidence have evaporated because of Mohammed just have led widely, and he doesn't want to obviously destroy himself by getting into the race and not make it out and become a political casualty. That's what he's calculating. I'm not saying that he's not going to run, or he's not trying to build a leverage, but he's kind of putting a cold feet. Now, within that UDP, guys within NPP are looking at to even form a party if it's necessary, because they were trying to get Bois to be coronated by Barrow to take over. The other group was the APRC group. The APRC group, most people have seen Sidinjai as it. Yes, Sidinjai wants it. But actually it was the former the DG of SIS, So, who was heading it and who was actually at prime position. Who was actually at prime position of being annulled by Barrow. Then you have Mohammed Jah's group. What happened? So won over Barrow for many reasons. So overlooked many dodgy operations for Barrow. So supported Barrow. So and Barrow, they know each other before Barrow became president one. So and the first lady know each other before they became a first lady. You see that relationship. But that's why they brought him to be an SISD. But the political project that he mastermind and the stealing of election he mastermind, that's why Abbas Sanyang became an interior minister. It was for so. Many technocrats in the government was because of so, especially from the APRC. Because of what they delivered. That's why if you look at the cabinet after elections, you see how powerful APRC was because of so influence. Because of South's influence. Then it becomes of South influence and Mohammed Jah influence for forming government. Barrow was relying on this too. Bois is struggling for leverage. That's why Bois came and prematurely talking about central bank having a stock exchange, knowing that technically impossible. But all that is to convince. That's why he did Bois, compromised the central bank, started allowing government to lend, to borrow as much as possible in the capital market, in the commercial markets. causing today Gambia government with 4 billion in deficit. That's why Boisedi went on to say of central bank having a social corporate responsibility to get into doing projects with the soldiers and other things and other stuff, which no central bank in the world would have looked at that as part of their responsibility. But he could not win over. Now these people are winning over because of as I said, the political capitals, the economic capitals as it were. Took over the Islamization project of Germany. I identify resources to be captured. So travel to Saudi Arabia under this project. That's the time Barrow was talking about the mosque. I'm going to build this mosque. He went to Saudi Arabia and came out with bags of money, cash, probably millions. We don't know how much. We people who knows, people who were in that private flight. Because he piggybacked on that private flight. He was not part of the mission on that private flight, but he went with that, and they had to wait for him, in fact, late for them to fly out of Saudi Arabia, because he was at one of the banks in Saudi collecting this money and flying out to the Gambia and handing over that money all between him and Barrow. Because nobody audits the SIS. This is when SIS were building mosque at their location, doing the project at Banjulunding and the project in URR for their offices. It's from that money, the Islamization project. But because of certain things that happen, which I don't have time to go in, Western intelligence got hold of some of these things, and they, warned Barrow that, look, if this Islamization project continues, because the evidence were there that soldiers coming in to train intelligence and all those kind of things. And guess what? Gambia was even ready to send soldiers to Yemen under the Saudi Qatari things. Barrow traveling to Qatar and everything else. But what happened? You don't hear about that anymore because of the British Minister for Africa Affairs visited Barrow and warned him about the consequences. This is where the British promised to look, we'll support your intelligence capacity training. We support this. We support this. That's why you see the British take interest after that. Now, when Barrow became more convinced with Sow because of the arrogance from Mohammed Jah and other things that he trusted Sow more because Sow have delivered so much and so forth. Guess what? Sow became into cabinet. That's why Sow came into cabinet. The reason Sow into cabinet was, again, I told you the strategic position of local government and lands. Lands, not only about the money you make, but the political leverage you make by controlling the alcalde, shareholder, governors, and other social, other influential bodies. That was the reason. And if Sow have stayed there longer, and next minute Sow would have been, by time of elections, Sow would be unveiled as the de facto candidate for NPP. But it have it, I said. I'm not saying God have it. It have it that Sow mysteriously became ill. Now Sow have lost that leverage because he's rebelling south. Then Mohammed Jah benefited from the loss of leverage, and with his financial acumen and everything benefiting Barrow. And as I said it, the building of that property gave him even a bigger leverage because Barrow is just greedy. Now Mohammed Jah became the ultimate planned successor. Because as I said, there are reasons why Barrow would not run. I'm not saying ultimately he's not going to run. If he runs because he could not achieve two things: a person that would win an election, two, a person he can trust that to safeguard him. That's why even he have looked at other option, not only staying in the Gambia, but move to Morocco. We are looking into that. What this explains now is, Gambia, this is how we've been governed. And they will be applying the same strategy coming to elections. But Barrow wants to be assured. And the assurance to Barrow is part of what that ex-retirement bill. to guarantee all the things he asked for. But again, they have to guarantee winning elections. That's why Mohammed Jah is instrumental, building a political leverage by building, helping mobilize the funds and build many offices and structures and paying many people as possible. This is all part of their plan. Now, in order to succeed, Gambians have to be divided. To see it as ultimately whoever Barrow puts in there will be our ultimate protector or savior, would be our ultimate savior. Because of what? They will demonize the UDP as a tribal party. They will demonize UDP as a troubled party. And there is any other person or persons they think can be relevant would be bought, just as they bought Ismail Assisi, they bought Sabali, and they will buy other people. But again, they will apply other strategies that will make sure any credible entity would be undermined. NPP militants are just militants. Most of them, as I said, they are taken care of by political, inducements. The others are taken over by prejudice. This is the game they play. The evidence is that no sane Gambians should be supporting Barrow. I don't know, you can choose where you support, but Barrow have proven to fail. But they are not looking at that. And again, to answer your question even better it's having proven that Barrow doesn't have the support. It's having proven that the elections are stolen. 90% turnout is unthinkable in a democracy. Any democracy, 90% turnout is a mockery, because it's not true. 100% registration of eligible, or more than 100% registration of eligible, is a mockery. It's stupid to believe that electoral register is right. I warn Gambian about it. Because we cannot be a population estimated of 1.5 million, and you have over almost 1 million eligible. Or even if we are 2.5 million, you cannot have 1 million eligible. If you take in consideration of amount of foreigners living in the Gambia, take consideration into the youth population, people who are not eligible to be 18 at the time of election. Take into consideration voter apathy, people that are not interested in elections, or they will not bother to vote because of registration is not compulsory. But again, you have 90%. In only dictatorship, you can have a 90% turnout. Even advanced democracy cannot attract 80% turnout. Even where there's 80% turnout, go and look at the front. Go and look at the front, the same exact front Macky Sall did on his second term. Reducing numbers to the extent of the last minute, they had to tabulate different numbers. The positive was second, they put positive third, and they put it second, knowing that they're going to buy it out. This is the problem. Now, this is the situation we face. Now, it's coming very clear of what we face it. But the sad thing is what Gambians do about this. As I said, we sit here, we advocate for the greater good. And I have presented things that I said 2 years ago that are all been confirmed now. When I talked about Mohammed Jah, most people didn't see it. Some people, oh, why is he going after Mohammed Jah? He's doing well as a Gambian. Would. Now it's been proven. When I talk about the Dubai trip, when I talk about Gulf Petroleum, many other things now, it all came up. When I took out people appointed in places. Now this person is going to be an oligarch, take everything. And do you know why we should worry Gambia? When this happens, there's bound to be a kickback. There's bound to be a reaction, and that reaction will be destabilization. I can tell you that. And it's not me saying it, but you can look for the evidence in comparisons in any country it happened. Go and find out what happened in Sierra Leone and led to a civil war. Go and find out what happened in Liberia, led to civil war. Go and find out what happened in Ivory Coast, led to civil war. It's up to us. And this is not for the opposition alone. As I said, it's for moral citizens. because it's moral citizen that forms civil society, moral citizen, and that are influences and are other things. Let us not accept this manipulation of our political space. Let us not allow this manipulation of our the political operations that will lead us ultimately to selecting or electing the people that are to lead our country. And especially for the educated or the supposed informed citizens who should know better. There's no country ruled by majority. The majority is the measure by democratic census of going to elections or referendum. But what informed, you see, when they talk about how people have choice, you have to have the ability to choose. Choice and choose. And this is where it comes, that these people interrupt and hijack the ability to choose and make sure these people choose. That's why it's a minority always that determine how countries are governed, even in the developed countries, I can tell you that. Political parties are not representative of the entire nation. They are representative of part of the nation. That's why it takes others. That's why in governance it takes the public, private, and civil society in order to determine the determine governance. That's why moral citizens should be held responsible for that matter. Guys, the program ends here, and I will just say it again. If you happen to watch this video, know that there's a video part 1 which was interrupted. I hope I've saved it, and it will continue to play. But this is the part 2 of the program. I have to leave for work. That's why I came in early this hour, and we almost had 2 hours of this. But we are going to try and put some of these in print. We are to publish it on Open Gambia platform, and we'll try to we'll follow up on some of this other thing and breaking it down. Thank you very much, and have a good evening. Jërë ngeen jëf.